This week in our Torah portion, we read the words of Shema. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. It is a profound statement of faith. Those 6 Hebrew words have been uttered by countless Jewish lips in countless synagogues for countless years. But there's a thing about the Shema. If you open up a Torah scroll, it doesn't look like it looks like in our book. It doesn't look like this. It looks just like all the other words in the Torah. The Torah came before the invention of the highlighter. It came before the invention of the comma and the period, too, which creates all sorts of interesting complications. My point is that there is no clear way to know by looking at a Torah scroll that these 6 words, this verse, is the most important of the 5,888 verses in the Torah. So how did we figure it out? How did we come to pick this one? There are a few reasons, I think. There's the power of the declarative statement of our connection to God. There's the tradition of emphasizing the ayin at the end of Shema and the dalet at the end of Ahad, which if you put them together, they spell the Hebrew word aid or witness. There's the deliberate word choice, making us question the difference of hearing versus listening. All of those, I argue, play a role in the elevation of this bit of Torah. But there is one element that stands above all the others. It's really short. It's 6 words. I humbly suggest that this shortness is the reason for the Shema's prominence, but also that it's a good reason. It's the easiest piece of Torah to learn at the beginning of our lives and the hardest one to forget at the end. It's been on the lips of countless conversion students, and it's the one prayer virtually every Jew knows in both Hebrew and his or her native language. There's an enormous benefit to brevity. But there is, of course, also a cost. The Shema might tell you the foundational belief of Jewish religion, but it's not so much help in teaching you how to actually be Jewish. There's a reason we have 5,887 other verses in our Torah. And that's why immediately after these 6 words comes quite a few more. It's after the creed that we move on to deed, what we must do. Teach these words of Torah to our children, say them in our home, on our way, inscribe them on the doorposts. Indeed, these verses outline many of the customs that we continue to follow today. From the mezuzah we walked by tonight to the religious school that begins again this Sunday, 9:15 a.m., please be on time. But before all of these instructions come, one that we sometimes overlook. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. You shall love Adonai your God. There's that word again, love. For those familiar with the prayer service, these words might seem rote and unremarkable. You say things long enough and you stop to think about what they actually mean. But the word choice is in stark contrast to previous mentions in Torah. In the past, the Torah has told us not to love God, but to fear God. And it's only here in Deuteronomy, in this verse, where the language changes from fear to love. But that leaves us with some questions. How exactly do you go about forcing an emotion? Is it even possible? Believe it or not, Jewish thinkers have recognized this challenge for millennia. On the one hand, you have people like Rav Bachya, who says it's simply a matter of abandoning all of your earthly luxuries, every distraction, and every obligation in your life, and devoting your entire existence to God and God alone. And, he teaches, you'll then develop love. Easy, right? But that is not the only answer that Judaism has to offer. In fact, there's a radically different approach put forth by none other than Maimonides. Maimonides teaches that rather than focusing on God, we must focus on other people, on promoting God's love in the world. The Talmud takes this concept even further. Tractate Yoma teaches that not only must our godly love manifest in the world around us, but that our marker of success in fulfilling this obligation is when our deeds merit the admiration of others. When we as Jews behave admirably, we bring God's light into this world. And that, the Talmud teaches, is how we fulfill the commandment to love God. Judaism is a religion of actions, and love is no exception. It's not so much a feeling as it is a guiding principle. We love God by doing acts of love. One other teaching. The Ve'ahavta could have omitted that first line. We'd have to call it something else, but we could figure that out. But it could have started with the concrete steps. Teach Torah to your children, put up the mezuzahs. But that's not how it starts. Instead, we know how it starts. It starts with an instruction on how we must feel when we perform these actions. And that's an important lesson for us to remember. Our intentions matter. It's not enough to just go through the motions. Our faith does not rest on a transactional theology. We need to believe and feel present in the actions that we do. I once worked at a synagogue that had over the sanctuary the words, "Those who rise from prayer better people, their prayers are answered." Those who emerge, who rise from prayer feeling and being better people, they are the ones whose prayers are answered. May we rise from this Shabbat inspired, but not just inspired. May we rise refreshed, but not just refreshed. May we rise better people and ready to do God's work in a world that so desperately needs it. And let us say, Amen.